Hello and happy Wednesday. And to be a little more specific, happy DigCit month. And so we're really excited to have this live show here kind of in the middle of the week, in the middle of celebrating digital citizenship. And next week is Digital Citizenship Week. And so this is a little bit of a forerunner to some resources that we are going to be able to share out and to help promote and grow that work statewide starting on Monday of next week. So with that being said, I am so grateful to Peg Cooper of ESU 10 and Lori Biesecker of ESU 13 for joining us today. We had this conversation before we started recording today about whether they are the co-leads or the leadership for, or just advocates of digital citizenship. So regardless of official titles, these two are holding it down in that space. And so really grateful for their efforts, for their leadership, not only this year, but really historically with the Digital Citizenship Symposium for our ESU network and for our education community in Nebraska. And so with that being said, I'm going to pivot to Peg. Peg, will you speak a little bit to some of that history that the ESUs have stepped into in support of growing our professional learning and support of students in the area of digital citizenship in Nebraska?
Sure. I'm Peg. Hi, everybody. Yes, we have had a Digital Citizenship Symposium since 2011, and we used to have it face-to-face. And when it first started, we had one location here at ESU 10 in Kearney, and we had just a few teams. So basically a few schools would bring a handful of students and teachers, get together, work on some projects, things to take back to their school. And as the years went on, it grew, and then we started adding satellite locations. And so, for example, ESU 13 might have had a location, or ESU 7 in different parts of the state, and more schools were able to attend face-to-face. But then we tried to connect virtually through distance learning equipment at the time, and then Zoom. And so our membership grew from that first year. We had a total of 22 students. Sorry, I take that back. About 10 students from 2 different schools came that first year, and then it grew every year. And our largest attendance was the year 2018, and we had 288, and that was students and teachers. And then because of 2020 and COVID and everything that had happened because of the pandemic, we couldn't have it in the fall of 2020. And so we kind of put our heads together and what can we do? And so I work with a lot of amazing people across the state, and Lori is one of them, Andrew's another one. But our committee that worked on the Digital Citizenship Symposium, the face-to-face piece of it, decided what can we do to provide something virtually and something online. And so we got some content, we got some videos put up there and some other things. We had review quizzes and an actual quiz where when students completed that successfully, a certificate was generated to show their participation and their success at meeting the answers to those questions and having interacted with that content. And then we also brought back a digital citizenship contest. And going back to that first year or two, we had a poster contest on internet safety. And when we brought back the virtual symposium in 2020, we decided to bring that contest back. And so we have 2 categories. They can do a digital poster, or they can do a video of like a public service announcement. And they can also hand draw a poster and then take a picture. We just have it submitted digitally. And so even though that first year was like we weren't sure what kind of participation we're going to get online, it was incredible. And we have some evidence of that because of those certificates that were generated, and also the numbers of the students that entered that contest. And so that first year that we did have the virtual online symposium, we had 2,225 certificates generated to students that took those quizzes. The second year, when we decided to go ahead and keep doing it with the online content, we changed the content. We brought in some new content. We added different grade levels. And so now we're doing K through 12 students with content there. And that last year, we had about 1,900 certificates that were generated. And so the proof of that learning that took place was also just right up there. And we even had, because we kept track of like the where they were from. And we even had people interacting with our website from 25 different states besides just Nebraska, and 8 countries. So that was pretty cool.
That's really incredible. And yeah, I love that thought that is, like you said, almost 2,000 pieces that are evidence of learning. And that this has been something that's just been able to grow exponentially, right? From what did you say, around 10 students, I think is what you mentioned to begin with. And now, yeah, serving close to 2,000 and growing. So, Lori, I know that you're joining us from western part of the state. I had to kind of get my bearings there for a second. And so can you kind of speak to what it means to be able to have, whether it be via DL previously or these on-demand resources, what that means for really broadening the reach of this effort statewide?
It's so exciting to be able to reach out, because if you think of the service unit that I service, it's the size of 8 states at the panhandle of Nebraska. That's how big our area is. And trying to get 21 districts to Scottsbluff, Nebraska, to get centralized, to be able to take the benefits of this program was difficult. And by going online, we can reach out now to all of our districts in ESU 13, as well as all the districts across the state. And that's pretty exciting for me, especially, to think about how can we get this out into teachers' hands, not just those few that come to a selected site. So yeah, it grew, but we're excited that we have these opportunities to give to all students across the state and not just a select few that can attend in person. So it was pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And for those that are interested in accessing these resources, we'll put it in the scroller across the bottom here. You can find those at bit.ly/anydigsit. And Peg did a really nice job of referencing these kind of in succession from the top and gave some more details to it. So we're going to show a video here momentarily that will go to the site specifically, so you get a chance to know where to access these respective pieces. And we've actually recorded that in a video that we've done prior to now that are going to show you 3 things. And so we'll kind of do this as a preview. Look for those digital citizenship symposium student materials, which again are things that Peg referenced. In addition to that, there are teacher resources. And so love the online course there. As we know professionally, that's something that we're all trying to grow in. And there's a need to stay up to date with that as well, because this conversation does evolve over time. And then that digital citizenship contest. And so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead then and bring up the video here for you. And we're going to listen in as Peg walks us through the digital citizenship site so that you know where to find all those great pieces.
Continue providing the content this way. Each year, we're going to add some new content, but all the old content is still available from the last 2 years. And so I just wanted to show you so you don't get overwhelmed with what the website looks like. And I'll keep this as brief as I can. So the homepage gives you some information. We'll have some links on there. Digital Citizenship Week is coming up October 17th. The content for this school year will be found right here in this tab. You can navigate to those or just click on the overall page and give you a little bit of information there. And also those same links are there. This tab is a module for teachers. And so if teachers are looking for some more ways to beef up their capacity to work with students on digital citizenship, they can go through this course, and it won't take more than about 30 minutes to go through it, and they can get a certificate. To access last year's content, we can use this tab, and you can see I can get to all of the content, so I can have my students still do that. If you didn't have students do it last year, that content is still available. And there's an event summary here, which kind of shows you the outreach that we had. We had 1,931 pieces of evidence of engagement with our content, and we had a digital citizenship contest as well. And then I can also get to the year 2020-21's content, and this is just information from years past when we first created this website. And then you can see who's on the planning committee. So if I'm a teacher and I want to, let's just say I want to do the grades 5 through 8 content. I click on that, then I'm going to have, here's the content, and there's some talking points here. So the teachers can have a little bit of help of navigating through those conversations when their students work through the content. And so if I click on this, it's going to take me to a video that I can watch with my students as a whole class. I can have them watch with a partner, or in groups, or just individually, however the teacher feels best fit. But we really encourage you, even if students work with the content individually, encourage you to come back to the class as a whole and have these conversations. Once you work through all 4 of these pieces of content for the 5 through 8 grade level, then we can come over here and we can click on this and go to a review game on quizzes. And so students can practice that as many times as they want. Again, it can be in a group, it can be individually. You can even pull them up there and review as a whole class. And then finally, when students are ready, they can click here and access a quiz. And the quiz is mimics the review game, question by question. And so really students will then take the quiz, and if they get a 100% on this little quiz, then a certificate will be emailed to the teacher for each student that successfully takes that quiz. And we have that this is one quiz and one review for all of this content, and the same thing for the 9 through 12 content. We're still working on this one, but there's going to be 2 videos, review game, and a quiz for the 9 through 12 content. And then K through 4 has 6 little lessons, and then 1 review game and a certificate. So we would just caution you that when you students fill out that form for the certificate, they definitely get your email typed in there correctly so that you will get that certificate for them. Now for the Digital Citizenship contest, we don't have the contest submission form ready to go yet, but it'll be right here as a link. Just the information, it can be a public service announcement video or podcast type audio, or it can be a digital poster, some kind of a graphic. So a poster or a video. Video is no longer than 3 minutes, and we will judge all of the contest entries when we close entry submission in March of 2023. And then winners will be announced shortly thereafter. Teachers can access last year's Digital Citizenship contest and just see the winning entries. And you can see the names of the entries, and the guidelines are similar to what we had last year, but if I click here, I can get to the winning entries. And so you can get some ideas of what students submitted and what rose to the top for contest winners. So I hope this helps you navigate. Again, you can access all of this year's content with the menu here. I can access teacher content here, or I can access previous year's content by following these drop-down menus. And in case you were wondering, if you do access the previous year's content, that review game and that quiz should still be active. If not, let us know. But the students should still be able to get a certificate for the previous year's content as well. So we're excited to have you join us on this year's Nebraska Digital Citizenship Symposium. And I'm Peg Coover from ESU 10.
Love that. Thanks for the walkthrough and the chance to get to see everything, and just really grateful for a little bit more detail. And so it's a fairly intuitive site, and it sometimes just makes it more approachable to actually get a chance to see it and see what's there. And as you noted too, that there are going to be a number of things added between now and October 17th, right?
That's right. So we're finalizing getting the certificates ready to go so that when those students take those quizzes, that it sends it out right away immediately. And so that just takes a little bit of process of getting that ready. And we wanted to make sure all of the quizzes were ready to go before we tried to do that. So we're going to be finalizing that this week. So right now, if you go to that website, you won't see this year's content, but you can still look at the other things and kind of see how it was laid out, and maybe give it a try and use some of that content if you didn't access it last year. But the new stuff will be available no later than Monday, October 17th, and hopefully even by Friday of this week.
Absolutely love that. And I'm going to ask,
I was just going to add to that, sorry, Andrew, about how exciting it is that we have a video that was created by one of our service units. It's actually Lincoln Public Schools, and they had added students to their video this year. It is so cool and awesome, the production that they put that piece forward to be able to use across the state. So we thank Chris Hafner and her crew. I enjoyed it, and I hope our kids do too.
Oh yeah, they will. They definitely will. And I also want to add too, before we start to wrap things up, is the other cool thing about this being on an online platform, even if it's just a website, is still all this amazing content and interaction that can happen. It's not a one-day thing. And that's what I love about launching it during Digital Citizenship Week, which is in Digital Citizenship Month, but it's really can be accessed all year. And so we want to make sure that we're encouraging teachers to, address digital citizenship in their classrooms all the time, and not just on a one-day symposium like we did in the past.
Love all that. And I think one note I would like to close things out with, which maybe should have been the first note, but it'll serve us well here as we bring things to a close. I think also digital citizenship can be a little bit of a broad term that is a placeholder or an umbrella over a number of others. And so if we kind of bring two things together and say, for someone that wants a little more specificity about what we mean by digital citizenship, can we pair that also with a little bit of your heart for this work, right? Like the why, not only what is it about, but then the significance of that in supporting students and educators for that matter. I mean, simple question. It shouldn't be.
It is a big umbrella. And, just kind of off the top of my head, some of the different topics that we've addressed over the last, really over the last 10 years that we've had the symposium, being safe online, cybersecurity has been kind of a big one lately. Media balance is really big right now, and just being able to unplug and know how much screen time is too much screen time, and then also just not getting bogged down by the emotions of things, because we know that students, they want those clicks, or they're just not happy when they're on their phone sometimes, and that's not a good thing either. So I loved what Eileen, we talked last week, what she said about I'm not great with metaphors, like especially vehicle metaphors, but some of my friends really are. But she did a great one. It's like we would never hand the keys to a car to our kids without teaching them how to drive. So the same thing is with, we don't want to give them a device, whether it's a laptop, an iPad, an iPhone, a Samsung device, without teaching them some responsibility with using that. And so I think that's a great way to word that. And just the passion of it. It's like, use the digital for good. And there's so many good ways to use the internet and devices and creating things. So just helping teachers and parents kind of have those conversations so that students can use the devices responsibly and learn and create with them. Lori, you have anything to add to that?
I think you covered it wonderfully. And the other thing to me about digital citizenship is the target is always moving. This world is always changing, and it's difficult for teachers to keep up with their daily teaching duties, let alone adding this piece to it. So we're excited that we're able to help in that manner, because it is ever changing for them.
Right. And there's so much out there too. And like Andrew, you said the umbrella, but if you just as a teacher, I was looking for content on what am I going to bring to my students? There's just so much out there. So we're just trying to maybe kind of bring it in and just put some things out there to make it easier for teachers, because we know that teachers don't have time to do these things in with all the other things that they're doing with the content and the curriculum that they're working with. So taking it and giving them little pieces that they can do, and they can access the stuff. Again, it doesn't have to be on just next week, right? It can be any time that they can work it into their schedules and their classrooms.
Hope you're muted.
Well, thank you. I was just saying that I just appreciate that whether you're on the western portion of the state, located in the center near Kearney, or where I'm at here on the eastern side, that our collective efforts to step into this space to meet the needs that both Peg and Lori have outlined here are something that our ESU network has just invested in and has been and will continue to be, much to Lori's point, as this conversation evolves, and that it is helpful to try to curate resources for the efficiency for our educators and also for our students, because there's a lot out there, and sometimes it's tough to tease out which things might be appropriate for different grade bands or learners. So loving all of that. Another effort that we make, and so as we bring things to a close, certainly want to bring this up, is we get a chance to meet once a month to talk about blended learning in a very similar way. And I know that that's work that both Lori and Peg are also involved in. And so here is our next live show. So if you enjoyed getting a chance to learn with us online today, we will have a live show on October 25th at 9:30 a.m. in the morning, where you'll get to learn a little bit about distance learning and distance education in Nebraska. And we'll talk about blended best practices in that space. We're going to be really, I'm really grateful to Nick Ziegler, who will be joining us to talk about some of that work at the ESU level, along with Wendy Lowenstein, who works with Omaha Public Schools Virtual School. And so get an opportunity to see some different ways in which education is being facilitated in Nebraska and the blended learning best practices that help make that possible and highly effective for learners. So always fun to jump online, to share live. Thank you, Peg. Thank you, Lori, for all your leadership with this effort, not just today, but every day and throughout the year. And I'll be really looking forward to those contest entries as they come rolling in, really between next Monday and then all the way through March. So thank you so much.
That's right. Thanks, Andrew.